Let's get started. So I want to thank everybody for joining us today. We are joined today by Mr. Tim Nathan, who's our staying guru, as well as a Midwest regional sales manager for Basic Coatings. I'm Robert McNamara, Director of Sales and Marketing for Basic Coatings. And today we're going to talk about tinting with hypertone stain. And it's kind of a discussion. If any of you have not done Zoom before, if you just kind of move your mouse around, there's a little question and answer box or a chat box. And if you guys have questions that you want to toss out, I will kind of let Tim do his chat. I'll kind of talk a little bit and write down some of these questions that are coming up. And at the end, we'll go through some of the questions. And hopefully this 20 minutes will go fast and we'll move on with our day. So with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Tim Nathan.
Morning, everyone. So like Robert said, I think today what we're going to try and do is share some success stories on projects that I've been part of, talked about, helped with, and showcase some of this. And Robert has seen some of these and not seen some of these. So we're hoping that all of you can enjoy some idea generating that this comes from these projects. Some are really, really intriguing. So we're excited to show them to you today. Let me jump on the share screen, pull up this. And we'll get ourselves, come on. All right, can everybody see that all right?
Yeah, that's perfect.
So the whole point today is about toning finishes with hypertone, but a focus is all residential. We've talked a lot about where sport is, but we want to highlight where residential projects have really been kind of fun. So we get asked a lot why hypertone is better than what's already out there. So I kind of want to go through some of that. Hypertone is naturally dispersing into our basic coatings finishes in a way that no other colorant has really done in the past. So we're excited about that. We've fully tested what it can do, the level it can go. The automotive pigments are producing richer colors than what we're seeing with other types of colorants that are being used in the other parts of the industry. And this is the first really fully backed system. Basic Coatings took the time to verify, fully vet, test, do stability, adhesion, the whole works, so that you're confident when you use this system, the product's going to work for you. And the other value I think that brings this to play is we're not going to fade over time as quickly as dyes do. There's wood tones that can change over time, but what guys have experienced is when they try to fix something with a dye, just doesn't last. Even within 6 months, they're having customers complain that it's not quite what they were hoping for. It turns color on them.
Yeah, we had the dye in our Bowling Green facility, and I don't even think it lasted 2 years. It was a cool looking floor, but 2 years later, it didn't even match it. But yeah. You had mentioned being backed by the manufacturer. We do not on the directions of the finishes or the hypertone tell you how to use hypertone as a tint in the finish, but we do have a technical bulletin on that. So if anybody needs that, just reach out to your regional sales manager. They should be able to provide it to you. And it's also on our website as well.
Absolutely. But guys are mixing different products together. So the advantage to this is you're staying within a product line, having trust and value in the system. So the first one here, I'm not sure if Robert and I have discussed this one, but it's a common thing where guys are trying to match an aged floor. And usually they'll tell a homeowner, hey, I'll put down the same type of finish, but it'll take a while to get there. Not everybody wants to hear that anymore. So this was kind of an exciting story that a guy had a challenge with a floor. You can see up at the top of the screen, that is the floor that he sanded and stained. And the bottom of the screen, you can see the floor that's already got a finish on. It's 10 years old and it's yellowed. And we discussed how he could take that newly sanded area and achieve that deep tone. And with using our yellow stain in Street Shoe with 2 coats, he was able to pull off that rich, deep tone. And now he can have a sense of satisfaction and the customer's happy, he's happy, and the project turned out phenomenally. So, I mean, besides the quarter sawn in that floor, which I absolutely love, this floor turned out to be a really success for the guy.
Yeah, I haven't, you know what I see a lot of, Tim, is contractors posting online about matching something that the homeowner wants. You know, I've seen a carpet, you know, or something like that. And what's interesting is no matter how many colors that are out there, people tend to want a color that's different. So when they put a piece of carpet or furniture on there, the contractors in these forums, they give all the formula that, hey, I use Jacobine with this or what have you. And but I do see a lot of that. And that's pretty good for us with the Hypertone as well. So.
Oh yeah, and I think that there's plenty of guys who've called and said, "Hey, I need to achieve this, and I can't do it." That's where we can shine. We can help with that situation. So this story has been kind of floating around the basic team for a little while, and it's one of those scenarios that most guys, unfortunately, don't enjoy getting involved in. The homeowner wanted to recoat this floor. Problem is they wanted to achieve a depth of color similar to the door itself. And, your first glances say, no, can't do it. Not without resanding the floor. And I told the contractor, I said, look, you can get it darker, but it's not a situation where you can probably get it as deep as the door. And he said, how do I do it? We talked it through, and the final results ended up being that.
That's crazy.
Now, one of the things about this particular project that we emphasize very heavily is don't try and do it all in one shot. If you need to make a pretty radical change of color with tinting finishes, you need to do it in multiple steps.
Yeah, there was a guy that really is not a hardwood guy per se, or wasn't years ago, but he's kind of working his way more into doing more and more hardwood flooring. But when we were talking to him about tinting, he actually came up to Bowling Green, and he doesn't even know how to sand a floor. He really doesn't. He'd admit it. He can't sand a floor. He can screen it and recoat it and things like that, but that's like as deep as he gets into, his professional skills and a hardwood flooring guy. But he came up and he just prepped the floor, tinted the finish, and just said, "Hey, give me an area in your we have the little rooms there that look like condominiums." And he said, "Just give me a room. I want to see whether I can do it myself." And he came up, and I kind of watched him do it. And I was saying to myself, "This is a guy that had we didn't even have directions at the time on how to do it. We just kind of gave him, hey, this is roughly what we're trying to do," and he kind of did it by himself, and it worked out great. It was incredible.
Yeah,
a guy that is not like a professional hardwood guy could do that, but this is amazing what you're showing.
Well, and this is one of those cases that, it's fairly rare. Most homeowners are open to the idea of resanding their floor when they want a radical color change. But there are some floors out there, those engineered products are so thin, you can't put a sander on it.
Yeah.
So this is your only alternative to making the color change.
Yeah.
The other side of where this is coming into play is where guys are having a problem on a project. It could be several different things, but here's a couple of examples. So this was a white oak floor. Contractor used a traditional stain, put a water-based coating, and did not think to use a tannin blocking sealer. So you can see kind of in the bottom left corner, you're starting to get some of these boards that are yellow. And that's the nature of the beast with white oaks and water-based coatings with these kind of opaque colors. So it was a 5,000 square foot job. He was in panic mode, called one of our team members, and he hooked them up with street shoe and white stain. And the floor just turned out phenomenal. And it really, he said, you saved our butts.
Yeah, it's crazy. I've not been on a white floor, but I've been on a contractor out in California. It wasn't residential, but it was commercial environment. He was doing a stage, and he actually stained the stage black. And it was one of those customers that said, I want it blacker than that. And our black stain is really black.
It is.
But we tinted the finish black, and it was incredible. It just really exactly what they were looking for. Now, other people have done white. They didn't have the tannin pull issue like you're talking about, but they've had customers where they've stained the floor white. And again, our stain is pretty white. Or they've used competitive white stain and it's not white enough, and they'll come and finish. I mean, that's probably where we get more white tinting with Hypertone, is going over competitive white stains.
Well, and I want to advise guys that if you're in the same color family, you're going to have far more success making a color change than if you try to alter into a totally different color family. Going from dark to light, not going to be easy to do, but going from dark to dark, very easily.
So let me ask you something. In my head, I'm painting my house, but some of my rooms in my house, and whenever I paint, I always pick a color that I like, and then I go lighter, because when I put it on the wall, it tends to be darker once it's up there. Is that the same train of thought?
That's 100% rule of thumb for every floor guy. Because anytime a guy's been asked to stain a floor, he'll put down these samples and tell the homeowner, look, you probably don't want to go as dark as you think based on this little tiny sample. Once the whole floor is stained, it's going to feel significantly darker. Yeah, so it's the exact same theory. Same with tinting finishes. Don't go over and shoot the mark, because then you get regret because it's too dark when you're done.
No regrets, man.
So here's another one that was a really a unique story. It was an Ipe floor. They sanded it, stained it, and sealed it, which is kind of an odd conversation in and of itself. Trying to stain Ipe is a challenge in and of itself. But his guy went in there and just started buffing it out and did not even think. So you can see all the edges of the boards were cut through the sealer down to raw wood again. And he was again in panic mode because sanding and staining Ipe is already tough enough. He did not want to have to do it again. So he calls me up and he says, hey, I'm needing an idea. I said, do a test spot. You can see here in this picture, he added some tobacco to the finish, did a test, and it completely colored up those light edges. So here in a finish pick, the floor turned out really nice.
Wow. I had a contractor out in California that I went to a branch, and he happened to be there, and he was trying to pick up some hypertone stain to tint some finish, and they only had one color. I forget what the colors were. They were, I don't know. There was like provincial and Cabernet or something. They had like two pints, 1 pint of each. And I said, listen, he had two different floors. He had a new floor and an old floor. And when you put them together, they didn't quite match. So he wanted to tint the whole installation so it would match throughout the whole thing. So he actually took those two colors, put it together, poured it in the finish, did a little test area. The people loved it, and he did the whole floor, and it was incredible.
I think that's where a lot of these guys are finding some value in this. It flows easier because the colors are naturally suspending in the finish better. And it's not fighting them for application like other colorants have done in the past. So here's one. The first one I shared with Robert. The second one is really interesting, but this is something I did in my own house. It was an idea I came up with on, if we can tint finishes to these depths, can we create faux finishing concepts? So here I just taped off some sections in the floor of my own house, did a couple of tint coats, and was able to create a little bit of a faux finish border.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's kind of fun though. One of our coworkers, Josh, made a panel up to be able to show people how you could do a French knot with tinted finish on an existing floor. He did this as a test, but it turned out fantastic.
Yeah, I tell you, I did a test like that in Bowling Green, and I was able to do it. But I tell you what I did learn was your application to your tape.
Oh yeah,
has to be good. But I think that's normal, right? I mean, that's
yes, because anytime you have an overlap, there's a potential for something to bleed. Mm-hmm. So you've really got to press the tape to the surface really well. You got to make sure the surface is clean and braided well before you test some of these ideas out. Mm-hmm. But when we think about an existing floor, there's so many hundreds and hundreds of thousands of square feet of floors out there where someone would like maybe just a feature on a fireplace, mm-hmm. or to the extent where if we work with guys that can make vinyl masks for sport guys, you could do a custom medallion inlay.
Yeah.
There's no stopping what you can do with it.
Yeah, it looks cool.
So this one, I apologize for the pictures, but I'll explain what's going on. It's just that they're grainy and it's cell phone stuff. To the left, you have a brand new fur floor. To the right, you have the old existing fur floor. Now, I'm sure a lot of guys would say just tear it out. Well, there's some historical things that come into play where people want to keep their floors. And this contractor up in Canada gave us a call and said, can you help me with some ideas? And here at this stage, he did a whitewash of tinted finish and whatnot on the floor. And then he started working on creating concepts. So he punched nail holes, darkened them. Here you can see some boards that are dark. What he did was he tinted finish and isolated boards and created almost a graying effect. Again, the pictures aren't great, but when you see the final results in this picture, he actually created an aged look through tinting finish.
That's pretty insane. That's artistic stuff.
Well, we think about, though, the old parquets and these rich patterned floors that are in these historic homes, they're looking to recreate that patina and that age of that floor. Mm-hmm. So why not use the products that are out there to your advantage?
Yeah, that's very cool.
That was a cool project. It was kind of lucky that he was able to share all that with us so we could show it. So this one's kind of for you, Robert. We have a great testimonial. If you want to
Yeah,
cover.
yeah. So this is kind of tough to see, but I had a contractor that called me up because he had heard and seen on social media uh, guys tinting our finishes, and this is the floor they ended up with.
Can you
So
see my
what?
cursor if I point out here?
Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, what happened is the customer had a flood. They called them in and they said, hey, we want you to replace the white oak upstairs, and take out all the stuff that got damaged, put in new white oak, and sand the floor and make it all match. So what he did is he went up there, he took out all the old oak, put in new stuff, stained it, and he said when he stained it the first time, he sort of noticed the difference between what was weaved in and what was existing, but he thought it really had to do with the grade of the wood, not really anything else. So then what he did is he put down a layer of sealer, figuring it would kind of blend it in, and that really didn't do much. So then he put 2 coats of finish on it, and this is what he ended up with. So he called me up. He's like, I got a total disaster, and I figured out what happened. Well, what ended up happening was what was there was not white oak; it was ash. So on the far side is
It's all the ash.
all the ash, and the near side is all the white oak that he replaced. So go to the next slide if you can. So what he basically did is he went in there and he used blue tape. It's kind of tough to see, but on the top left-hand screen, he covered the white
The white
oak.
oak back here.
Yep, with the tape, and he left on the top right-hand side. You can see he left the ash open, uncovered. And then what he did is he mixed some tint into the street shoe, and then on the bottom right-hand corner, he just applied it. So that room not only was the extent of the hallway, but that ash actually went into the bedroom too. So this is a picture of the bedroom that he's doing. So he actually had 2 rooms that he had to save. So you go to the next slide. And once he put down the 2 coats, he put another coat of clear finish on the top, pulled up the tape, and then the floor looked great. So bottom left-hand side, again, you can't see it too well here, but we can send you.
This whole top side looks just like the bottom side now.
Yeah, it's incredible. So he was super excited. The homeowners did not want to have to re-sand the floor or tear anything out, and they understood that hey, mistakes happen and things go awry on the job site, and they kind of said, listen, we told you it was the wrong species. So they took ownership of that part of it, and we're very willing to participate and try to resolve this thing.
Wow.
And the contractor's like, this is amazing. I've never done it before, and it worked out fantastic. And it's just another tool in his toolbox, in case he runs into an issue. Which again, I think of this as being like a situation where there's a lot of contractors that have stair treads, and they're trying to match the flooring that they put, down on the floor. Now they got stair treads that don't necessarily match, or they're raw stair treads. So now you can use the tinted finish or even staining to try to match the floor. That's how I look at it.
Absolutely. Well, to me, there's always going to be hiccups. Contractors are human beings. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to miss something. If we have a solution to be able to correct it on the fly, that's all that matters. And I think basic coatings can be that solution. And I'm liking to have that as a mantra for us: is you need a solution, we have it.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say some contractors are human beings. I thought it was going to be your mantra. All right. So we got a few questions here. We're running out of time, but let's kind of hammer through a few of them. Can I use hypertone stain as a tint in other manufacturers' finishes?
Well, let's first start with different chemistry. No, you can't put it in oil-based. No, you can't put it in acid cure. It's a water-based system, so it has to be in a water-based coating because of the chemistry. But on the second level, you know what? Systems are important for trust. So we're really only going to recommend you put it in basic coatings finishes because we have tested it.
Yeah, it was funny you mentioned other technologies. One of the questions too was, can you use it in OMU? Another question is, what's our cost? What would a cost be on tinting finish?
That's kind of a great one. We've discussed that one a couple of times. When you think about it, we don't typically recommend, and most guys aren't using more than an ounce or two in a gallon of finish. And when you think about a pint of product and what it costs for a pint of product, you're only going to spend about $2-3 per gallon of finish to be able to tint that product.
Yeah, we have hypertone in gallons as well as pints.
Absolutely.
And I think the pints are less than $25. Sometimes they're less than $20, depending on the color. And
Yep.
you're using an ounce or two. I mean, it's incredibly reasonably priced.
No doubt.
So another question is, what's the application method?
That is a tougher one, really. It's going to vary. A lot of guys like to roll. A lot of guys like the T-bar. I guess I would argue when you think back to that picture with yellow, because he didn't need to use very much, he was able to roll it and had no problems whatsoever. But then you remember that white picture, he was T-barring it because he put a decent amount of white in there. And with the heavier you go with the concentration, I think the more we're likely to recommend a T-bar or pad. The less, do whatever you favor.
Yeah, I think T-bar is the way to go. And even if you're new and you're not comfortable with the T-bar, you get a nice small T-bar, lightweight T-bar, 12-inch pad or whatever it should.
It's the safe choice when you're tinting finish, no doubt.
So here's another one. What's the pigment load that you put in? What's the maximum amount that you could put in?
So we're focused today on residential conversation. And when I have guys ask me, I would like to recommend that you never go beyond 5%. It's just going to make it challenging to apply. And the other thing, as we discussed, you're better off building in multiple layers. You're going to have a richer color, a truer color, and less issues for streaking. We have told people on our instruction guide you can go up to 10%, but I would warn you that's really for more repairing scenarios where you have better control. If you're going to do a full floor situation, consider a 1 or 2% starting point and get a sense of feel about how the application is going to play out. It's always best to do it in multiple steps.
Okay, well, we're past our time allotment, Mr. Nathan. You did a great job.
Good conversation.
As always, I end these things with a cheap plug for our product line. So we do a floor of the month, floor of the year contest all year long. We did it last year. It was very successful. So we're doing it again this year. There's actually two contests that go on at the same time. One is a commercial residential contest, and another one is a sport contest. So all the contractor has to do is take some pictures of the project that he's doing, put it on Instagram, use the hashtag woodfloorproud, and they automatically get entered in the contest. If they win the monthly contest, they get $250 worth of free basic coatings material, and they're automatically entered into the floor of the year contest. The floor of the year contest winners on the sports side, they're going to get the same thing which we did last year. It's a custom painted tape machine with a telegraphing arm. And then on the residential commercial side this year, we've got is it Primatech or Primatech? Primatech, right? Primatech nailer. And this is a nailer that goes right up against the wall. That's the one that they introduced, I think, 2019. But that's like a $900 piece of equipment as well.
Yeah.
So if you need to know more about floor of the year, floor of the month contest, reach out to your regional sales manager. Sorry we didn't get to all the questions today. Tim, Nathan, great job. If anybody enjoys these webinars, please tell other people about it. And we look forward to helping you out in 2021. Tim, Nathan, thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.